Guys, I'm going to record this. I hope you don't mind. Brent and I are trying to get webcast clips that we can put in some of our promotion materials. And you guys are among our most advanced builders now, so we want to show off what the work that you're doing. Okay, Brent, I know you talked with Owen, or did you have a meeting with Owen?
Yes, I met with him for roughly an hour yesterday. Got him caught up on the code.
Okay.
And he said he'd be on.
Okay, great. Yeah. So while we're waiting for Owen, shall we? What do you recommend, Brent, to start off? The mission today is to start looking at the user interface.
Yes. I think this lesson I didn't really set up too rigidly. I think what we should do is kind of just explore. I want to break into two categories. One is obviously the design we think would be awesome, but we want to allow people to customize certain attributes. And when you allow the user to customize certain attributes, you have to have limitations. Because without limitations, it could go to the point where they're basically building the page, which gets crazy. So like we have a stopwatch that has the numbers on it. Do we want a background that's a clock? And do they choose what kind of clock is there? So maybe we have an image that is like 500 pixels by 500 pixels. We, use CSS to place those numbers in the center horizontally. And when the user is choosing a theme, maybe the theme on that page is them just choosing a clock face.
Great.
And then we also have the log of data, the previous times. Right now, they're just all white with black text. First off, black and white text is a harsh contrast that I think the only time it's appropriate is when you're working with maybe like a senior citizen. And I'm not even saying that jokingly. It's the harsh contrast is easier for their eyes to read. But for most people, it's too much. Using like a white background should have a charcoal gray on it. It's just by design principles, it's easier to read. But also we have data in a table, essentially. So do we want to highlight every other table so you can just look across horizontally easier? So there's some design decisions we have to make, and then we might be able to execute some of them today as well. So that's kind of the flow I think we should do.
May I make a suggestion, Brent? I like your strategy a lot. I wonder if we could go one step higher before we get into the details of our specific application. What if we have a quick look at some existing timer applications?
Sure.
We've done this in the very beginning of this project. We looked at other clocks. Well, let's refresh our memory. Let's research before we reinvent the wheel. Maybe we can get some good ideas from what others have done. And guys, may I also ask, just as a favor, as I said, we're trying to get some video clips, and would be great if are you able to turn your video cameras on so we could just quickly introduce you? Great, thanks, Brent. Hi, Owen. Welcome. Hi, Owen. Arnav, do you have a camera associated? Would you mind if you turned your camera on for just a second?
My camera's not working for mine.
Okay, no problem. David, do you have a camera tied to your computer? Okay, great. Thanks, David. Hi. Okay. Owen, do you have a camera? I just want to...
No, just a mic.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. So, again, we're going to record this to try to get some clips that we can put in our promotion materials. You guys are among our most advanced builders, so we want to show off the good work you're doing. All right. So how about this? Could you guys Google clock applications? Let's try that and see if you find any applications that look really cool. We're looking now, the mission today is to design the user interface for our back-end timer application. That's all the back-end work we've been doing over the past few weeks. Now we want to put a pretty skin on it. So as soon as someone finds a user interface that they really like, just holler and you can share your screen. Before we build, we like to research. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Owen, have you found any timers that you think, who remembers why we're going to use this timer? What's the purpose of this timer? Can anyone explain? Owen, you've been in many of our camps and workshops. How would you envision using this timer when we're in a class?
I'd say it's for like when we have something we want the kids to do and we want to put a time limit on it without making it too stressful or formal. Perfect.
We want to have a very playful timer that is on the big screen in a classroom, and kids know how much time they have before we go on to the next exercise. Great. So let's keep that in mind when we're looking for user interfaces. It's got to be something really playful and that doesn't add stress to the fact that you only have so much time to do stuff before we move on. And also, it might be nice to make it really playful when the time is up. So if one of our goals is to reduce stress, we want something fun to happen when time is up, not something draconian. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So anyone found any application that addresses those goals? And
yeah, I posted a link in the chat.
Okay, could you share your screen and let's open it and so we can critique it together? Okay. Great, Owen.
Here we go. You guys see this?
It's starting, yeah, okay. Classroom timers, ooh.
Okay. They just have like a bunch of different themes. When you start a timer, what happens is you set the time or whatever, and then it goes down, and there should be like an animation that goes with it, and at the end, you can see with like a cool picture what's happened.
Way cool. I love this. What do you guys think? David or Arnav, is this the direction we want to go in?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Okay. What actually happens when it ends?
I'm not sure.
Let's try to start it. Set it for 5 seconds. Or yeah. Let's see what happens. Start.
Okay, I don't. Okay.
Oh, look. This is great. Okay.
It makes a sound too.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's look at one of the other skins of the dynamite. Kids will, this is a little bit stressful maybe, but. Uh-oh. Oh, I love this. Look at this, guys. All right, cool. There could be some great sound effects behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is very, very interesting. Any critique, Arnav or David, any critique on what Owen's found here? What do we like about this? What could be better? How can we build on this to make it even better? Your microphones are muted, guys. If you have any thoughts, chime in. David, you had some Thoughts?
I think the graphics is really interesting,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know.
It's going to be difficult to execute.
The user interface could be better.
Uh-huh. Okay, the user interface could be better.
I think it looks a bit, I don't know, outdated.
Okay, outdated. Good suggestion. We want to do something modern, computer game-like. Mm-hmm. Okay, the graphics could be better. Good suggestion. Arnav, any input on your side?
Yeah, I agree with David. I think it could also be like more customization for the user, the timer for our application. This has been a
Ooh,
lot of customization.
yeah. Have you guys found any timers examples that we could look at before we start building our own user?
I found the same one as Owen's found, but I can't really find any other ones that have sort of cool sort of animations and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement. I think the animation part's cool, but I think the interface does seem dated. The other critique I have is I feel these are better for the countdown portion of our timer application, but
Right.
not so relevant to the stopwatch because this is an animation that is going to an end. But if we're counting up a time, I don't know how the animation itself would end, but maybe the concept of animation could be applied. Like maybe
Right.
someone running or maybe someone building like a scientist at a table and
Yeah.
they're tinkering and until you hit stop and they stop doing it and they wipe sweat off their brow or something.
Yeah.
So we could still use the fun concept of animation. I just don't think we could have an end goal with it. It would just have to be something on loop probably.
Right. It has to be a picture of a wheel rolling or a clock, even the clock ticking.
Right. Maybe someone turning a wrench or something on a nut or something.
Yeah.
Like something, it can be playful. It just would have to potentially be repetitive because you don't know how long someone would run the stopwatch before they hit stop.
Exactly. Something that repeats. Okay. All right. So we have two different user interfaces. We have a stopwatch and we have a countdown and a count up timer.
Yes.
And we need them both.
And I think this is great for countdown, these concepts.
Mm-hmm. But better graphics and more modern user interface. Okay. All right, good. So, Brent, let's try to get input as much as possible from Owen, David, and Arnav on the user interface here.
I'm sure. Maybe one place we could go is we have a PowerPoint I think we made a while ago that they mocked up the user interface. Maybe pulling that up as reference would be useful.
Who has that PowerPoint ready that they could show us what we were thinking originally on the user interface?
I think I have it.
Okay, great, David. Arnav, do you remember? It was quite a few months ago, even I think, when we first started this project that we documented in a PowerPoint lab book.
Okay, I found it.
A vision. Okay.
Should I share my screen?
Yeah, please do. Okay, let's critique this, guys, carefully, given the example that Owen showed us. Okay. Okay, this is, we all know this. This was our first. Let's go to the next slide. Slide 2. Okay. And then slide 3. Okay. Any thoughts here on slide 3, guys? We're just doing the big picture here, not the details. Is this general right flow?
It looks good, but I think it could be more like animation, more sort of less functional and more sort of, I don't know what the right word is, but more, more for kids. It looks too
More
sort of,
playful.
more playful.
More whimsical. Yep. Okay. But the structure is right. The functionality and the structure, the way we specified this originally, given the back-end work we've done and given the timer that Owen showed us, this still applies. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next slide on our original user interface specification.
I think I have a suggestion.
Yep.
When I look at these big numbers, I want to change them. I just want to click on it and just change the numbers.
Yeah.
On the mobile devices, it's easier if you just click on these numbers. And
Yes. It's too much work to go down to those buttons below. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What do you think, Owen?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Numbers or click on a button?
I think it's good if we have both options, but
Yes.
if I had to choose one, I'd say being able to click on it and edit it yourself. I think that's a lot more valuable than having like a preset time editions.
Okay.
I
Go ahead, Brent.
I was gonna say I agree, and I think we have a hindsight where we don't have remove buttons, and as soon as we have remove time from this, that adds a whole other set of buttons to it. And I know what you guys mean. Like on my phone, when I set an alarm clock, I just click on whichever section, I just up or down right on that number section, and it's more streamlined.
Yeah.
So I like that idea.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to have a right and left arrow at the bottom, and then you just click on whether it's hours, seconds, minutes. How come we have 4? Why do we need 4?
In case someone wants days.
Days. Whoa. Okay. Is that true? Do we ever want days?
I would think not. Maybe we can add a button to add days if need be.
Okay. In the interest of simplifying this, guys, I'd suggest just do 3. I can't think of a time where we'd ever need a timer for days.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in our environment, in our workshop environment, we may not even need hours. We may need just minutes and seconds.
David, could you possibly edit that as we're saying that, or maybe just add notes in if it's too much to edit right now? Thanks. And we can make those changes to the look, to the layout.
Yeah. Right now, the backend that you've been working on has hours, minutes, and seconds, guys, or just our minutes and seconds?
I think it had hours, minutes, and seconds.
Hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay. So let's take this. Let's take the days off of it. And is it clear enough that it's hours, minutes, and seconds, or do we need to make? Well, when we do the graphic, we'll figure that out. Okay, pretty good. Next, you can make comments on this, David. Let's just go to the next few slides and give an overall feedback, and then you can make edits to our specification. Okay, so this is now we're starting the clock. We've set it, and then this is where we keep track of different race times and or different.
I think the previous slides were the countdown timer. I think this is when the stopwatch starts, right, guys?
Right, of course. Of course, yeah. Stopwatch timer. Okay. Okay. Any thoughts here?
I think this we could change to reflect the functionality we have. We still have 3 buttons, but we have start, we have stop, and we have reset and record. So, I mean, realistically, clear goes away. If we have record time, clear is a function of reset and the timer. We have start over here, and pause got moved to the middle. So we have start, pause, reset essentially. And reset is the function that will add a time over here. So while we have the same overall like functional pieces, I think it's just slightly different in the application that we have built.
Good. So David, can you make those changes to the PowerPoint at the bottom 3 buttons?
Basically just mimic the application or name them what you think we should name them. Like stop might not be accurate because stop is pause even in what we built. So, you know, use your own best judgment and we can kind of talk through it.
Yeah, I'm confused. I think these 3 buttons are pretty clear to me. So when you click start button, this button changes from start to pause. And then this button is for clear, and then this button is for recording time.
Okay.
So what you're thinking is we could reduce it to just, you want, I see, because we might not want to record the time. We might want to just clear it and not count it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have to do in the stopwatch is we have to build a function to toggle what HTML is here. Like switch the ID once you hit it. I'm going to type something in the chat box. If you could add it in as a note to this slide, it'd be great. Give me one moment.
Okay. This is a very useful session, guys, because now we're matching our original thoughts for user interface with our actual development of the back end of the application. So now's a good time to adjust the user interface to fit what we could actually develop in a reasonable amount of time. So the general design process here is you specify a user interface that is your wildest dream, and then you try to build to that wildest dream, and often you'll find you can't quite get exactly what you want. Then you have to go back to your specification and adjust it to reality. I think this happens almost in every engineering process, whether you're building a submarine or designing a pencil. Cool. Okay, so next steps, Brent.
All right, so from here, let's just double check that everyone's in agreement on these buttons, because maybe we can modify these buttons in this session to reflect the functionality for the buttons. The start button, right now in the application we built, we have a start button, the second button is a stop button, and the last button is a save and reset. But what makes sense is why waste extra space for a resume, start, pause, resume, when we could just have the start button become the pause button and then change back to the, start button again. So from there, we could either toggle it between 2 or 3 states. We could have start, pause, and then start again, or we could have start, pause, resume. And so every time you hit pause, resume is there until you reset and then it start again. So we can even have 2 to 3 states for that first button. The middle button we're going to use as just a clear, it will be reset without save. So the middle button clear is just, will reset the page or not log in the time. And the last button would be a save time, essentially, reset and save. So I think anytime you save the time, it would be assumed you finished the activity and you'll log in that time. So what do you guys think? Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that sounds good and saves space.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
So,
Could are there other slides? What's slide 6, David? Oh, that's
End screen.
end screen. Okay, great. So that's our whole user interface spec. And okay. Do we need to start laying this out in more detail now that we've got the block diagram functionality down? What would you suggest next steps, Brent?
I'm more of a choose your own path kind of book kind of guy here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two options. I'll let you guys choose. One option is we can make a more detailed interface. So now that we have all the core features, finalized, we have most of the features built. We can go into PowerPoint where we already are, duplicate this, and start making actual graphics, font decisions, background decisions, what type of animations. We can start making those kind of user interface calls. What's behind door number 2 would be we could modify the code to reflect the 3 states for the start button, the clear button, and just kind of finalize the functionality. But so what do you guys think would be better, user interface or fix some code pieces?
David, any thoughts?
User interface.
Okay, Owen, do you have a vote? Shall we start specifying the user interface, or shall we go back to the code and add a little more functionality before we define the specific graphics?
I would develop a user interface more.
Great. Arnav, are you in agreement?
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay, good.
And honestly, I'm in the same. I think we've coded so much the past few weeks. I kind of want to do user interface too.
Great. How about if we do this, Brent? How about if everyone works on their own time? We'll adjourn right now, actually, and just let's do this. David, send this PowerPoint to everyone, and then our mission for next week is to add slides to this that take our block diagram layout and make it like the example that Owen showed. So just work on your own time, and you can either design your own graphics or get images from symbol libraries. And let's be creative first. Let's start with our wildest dreams, or what we think would be most proud to show off, and then we'll back off of that based on what's reasonable to develop. Any suggestions to that process, guys?
Owen, Arnav, can you give me your emails?
Yeah, I'll type it in chat.
In the chat box?
Yeah. Thank you.
Terrific. Okay. I love it. Any thoughts, parting thoughts, guys, before we go? You'll have half an hour or so, or at least in this scheduled webcast. But I think it's appropriate that we do some work on our own, and then next week we'll come back and critique everyone's user interface fantasies. Cool. All right. Go wild, guys. Don't, start without any constraints. Well, I mean, we have a rough sense of the functionality we've developed, so our user interface should play to that functionality. But if you get on a track where we need to develop new functionality, possibly we can do that. Brent, does this sound like a reasonable next step?
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense.
Okay.
And I think the edits to the code are relatively easy and straightforward. We're gonna still have 3 buttons, so it's. I'm happy with the change to user interface, and I think shoot for the moon, land in the stars type of mentality. Let's try and make something as cool as possible. We'll reel it back into what we can realistically do, and then we'll have a wish list for the future.
Great. And David, could you send that to Brent? I didn't put my email in the chat box, but you know my email, no?
Yes. Okay, I'll send it to you.
Please send it to me too. So we'll all add our thoughts to this and be ready next week to integrate our front end design. Well, lock in on a front end design and then integrate the back end with the front end. Cool.
Yep.
All right, you have your marching orders?
Yep.
See you next week. Any
Bye,
last thoughts?
I love her hat, man.
Thank you.
Good.
Are you still in Canada right now?
Canada's like above 0 right now. It's so weird. Actually not cold.
I was gonna say maybe you need it more than me though, with the fur.
Okay.
But thanks.
Okay, set.
Cool. All right, Owen, was your session with Brent yesterday useful?
Yeah, it was very helpful. I got all caught up.
Good. Okay. So onward, guys. Have a good week. Stay out of trouble.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
And
You guys.
John, if you can stay on for a few minutes, and
Sure.
if anyone's bored and wants to see something cool, you can stay on for a second, but it's
Okay.
not relevant to your life. I wanted to go over that video editor thing we're building.
So
Okay.
Brent, explain to anyone who's interested the project.
Definitely. All right. So basically, at Build It Yourself, we're constantly asked, "What is a Build It Yourself webcast workshop like?" And then it has a subset of questions like, "Who teaches it? How do kids interact? Can you really build physical items over a webcast?" And these are all logical questions from a generation who doesn't use, video conferencing tools aggressively. And if they do use them, it's usually boardroom to boardroom. So we're using it for interactive engagement with children's 8 to 13. So what we've done in the past is we edited like a 2-minute video that walks you through an explanation, like this is what a webcast is like, and it kind of guides you through, a 2-minute video with clips. Now, any of you guys, if you have ever done video editing, even with the most rudimentary software, you sit there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, cut and paste clips, add audio. Oh, oops, I forgot where I kept the source files. I have to start from scratch. That's another day gone.
I see you smiling, David. You've been through this process?
Yeah, I just finished my English documentary, which is 10 minutes, but I spent like 20 hours on editing.
Wow.
So you can sympathize.
Yeah, like shooting is like 2 hours, but then for editing, you have to match like the color of each shot, and then you have to match the audio you recorded, and then you have to really cut at the right place so it doesn't look awkward. It's really sometimes just frustrating, but if you practice enough, you kind of get the flow of it.
Yeah, but watch, David, you'll be really interested in this strategy. Brent had a genius idea to take that 20 hours down to less than 2 hours. Watch this. You'll say, wow. Okay, go ahead, Brent. Arnav, I'm sure you will have the challenge of developing videos if you haven't already. This is a really cool YouTube idea. Okay, Brent. Whoops, did we lose Brent?
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. Okay. Let's see. I think I can start. I can start it. Let me share my screen. Till Brent comes back, then he'll explain it much better than I can because he's basically executing it. So right now, in case you want to have a look at this, if you just go from our homepage to Webcast and then Webcast Archive, you'll get this page. So in the past, what we've done is we've just listed 1 hour videos. But if you only want to see a small section, a 2 or 3 minute clip, what Brent has done is develop this where we store the whole 1 hour video, but we can just go to specific sections. Like, let's see.
Are you guys familiar with YouTube's API? I'm sorry, but the internet kicked me at McDonald's. I had to log back in. But have you guys ever used like Force HD, hide-related videos, anything like that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, so with YouTube in the URL, you can add in additional variables that YouTube allows you to use, and you can specify a delay in seconds for the start time and a delay, like a duration in seconds of the video, essentially, thus allowing you to clip the beginning and end point of a video anywhere within the video. And rather than editing, we just force links that will this. You guys helped me build this because it just refreshes the iframe, same way we're refreshing the time.
Hello?
And when you click it, it just changes the frame reference and it includes the start and end point. And that way, we're effectively selecting each of the videos.
Oh, move. Hello?
No editing required. We edit it from an Excel sheet.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so that's the application. What you just saw here, here's the index. This is a 1 hour video, but by just clicking on Brent's index here, it brings us right to the middle, 42 minutes.
How do we move the title and the...
So a kid just asked a
How do
question.
I remove the title?
How do you move it?
Right. Okay. So Brent, I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe you can show Arnav and David the back end of this a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
And let me switch over. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, when I'm at McDonald's for like 2 or 3 hours, at some point the internet just says, we're not sure if you're really still there, or if you're, active. Let's just kick you off and make you log back in. All right, so this is done in primarily 3 main files. Technically, like the .. is not that relevant. That's specifically with the way we include links in the header and footer of Build It Yourself. That doesn't affect anything. This file is just a note file, so in case a graphic designer goes to edit, I explain everything, and I'm going to document that in the wiki later. This was actually, I used this to rip the header and footer code. Okay, so all the webcasts are stored. This is essentially the database. It's a CSV file. You can edit it in Excel, and it's really straightforward. The top row never gets included because I have conditional statements that grab categories, and if the entry matches the category, it gets dumped into that index, that over the main section. So if we have an index section called team, if category doesn't equal team, it's excluded. And because this one is a header section, that CSV file, that this never interrupts the data. And that helps, whoever edited. Video ID is just within YouTube, in the URL, you can actually, I won't even go there, but if you go to any YouTube video, you'll see the ID in the URL. Start seconds. This is a delay in seconds into the video. Whenever we want to start at the beginning, I set it to 0. If we want to include the whole video, I just include an obnoxiously large amount of 9s for the end, because if you go past the length of the video, it still stops at the end. So you don't have to look at the actual stop point if you want the whole video. You just put infinite amount of 9s. And so this video, for instance, divide by 60, what was that, 4 minutes. So this is a 4-minute clip we want. So we start at the beginning, we go 4 minutes in, we cut it. There's a whole hour video, but this gets included in the URL of the link. The title, it gets displayed, the description. Some of these I have to edit later. In the category, and then every category has an overarching note that, all the team, because this is supposed to tell a storyline about what is a webcast. So there's a very consistent story behind a category or videos, and then there's like sub-information. And that's how the CSV file is set up. It's just a regular Excel sheet. When I go into the code, the index file, this gets a little messier at a glance, but we have our standard, we have our HTML, our metadata, all that stuff. This is relevant to the Build It Yourself site, not the application. This code is relevant to the application only in the style. It doesn't do anything special. The only thing that's special is the style for the class panel is set to, was it max height of 0 by default, and overflow is hidden. When you click on the accordion section, let me get rid of these. It changes that with JavaScript, and it increases the size to match the length of the content to a maximum height, you know. So that's how that section works. Those accordion pieces, there's CSS that hides them, there's JavaScript that shows them. Going further, wow, this script looks useless. I think I deleted a script, I left the comment. What is this document get? Okay, I could technically join that into the next script. I didn't optimize everything yet. This function you guys will recognize. It's okay, there's a function called load that gets called, and I pass variables into it. These variables look just like the variables you'll find inside that Excel sheet, that CSV file. I log those pieces of data to make sure they all have actual data in the variables, just so I can at a glance go to the console log. And then I do document get element by ID, current clip, let's see. Okay, so current clip is the iframe, I believe. If we just scroll down to the HTML, you know, the iframe is called current clip. So the video player itself, that's what that is. And what we do is we update the SRC. This is the same way we loaded the log times PHP file. So we set it, but rather than setting it to itself to make it refresh, we're now changing the URL location this time. So this is the first time, you know, like the other application we've built together doesn't do this. But this application, https youtube.com/embed, now we have a dynamic video ID that gets loaded from that CSV file, a dynamic start time, dynamic end time. Autoplay is set to true, and related video is set to 0. So at the end of the video, it doesn't ask you to click on some like weight loss video or some random, you know, hair growth formula. No one wants to see that. We want to keep it relevant to build it yourself. So that eliminates that cross promotion YouTube does. Then
Brent, I want to hear that add-on here. Okay, sorry.
No, that was John. You always usually thank me for making you laugh. I like that joke a lot. All right. The last thing is we update the video, but we also have some other data that we want to update. That data is not a video with the SRC value we can change. That's text sections. We have 3 text sections. And these are dependent on the video. So as you see, as I click, I'm changing information. So the way that happens is, you know how we change the timer, the zeros, how we record those last second, or whatever the time was, the inner HTML, that code we wrote, same thing. So I grab in the document the element title, and I edit the inner HTML, and I set it to the dynamic title. The variable I passed is updated. That's from the CSV file. Document, get the element by ID, get notes. Notes is the standard note that goes for the category. That's also on the CSV file. And finally, get description. I add that to the description. Same thing. I'm just editing. It's inside of a table cell, I think, or div. And all I'm doing is swapping out the inside string, the inside HTML. And the way we pass those variables, okay, the blah, 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 I made a table in title. I'm going to skip through that. That stuff's boring. The fun stuff. So in PHP, to obtain the CSV file, I found this code on Stack Overflow. It just imports the file, and it turns it into an array. An array now allows me to grab the data sets as needed and do a loop. I can do a for each do something.
Hey, Brent, hold on one second.
Yeah.
David and Arnav, do you have any questions about what you've seen Brent do so far, or comments? is this something that you think you might have this application you might use in your own work?
I think it's actually genius because I never thought of
Thank you.
recording my video just using like manipulating YouTube.
Yeah, it's
I would just I just edit the video first and then upload it. But then now you can just do it in YouTube. You can just
yeah, it's brilliant. I agree with you. Arnav, any thoughts about the pros and cons of this way of sort of displaying videos from clips of videos from different source files without having to go into a 20-hour all night session?
Yeah, I think it's very, very cool. It's really useful.
Yeah.
You guys have to stop calling me a genius.
We're gonna patent this idea, Brett. I think it's really way cool.
yeah.
Thanks. I don't think it's even. I think some people do it. Like, there's a really cool documentary that it's called Trom, The Reality of Me. It's about the insights of like the human condition, about how it affects too much about government and politics. But essentially, when you watch it, it they have a similar effect. So they have indexed. Most of these are different video clips, though. It's not one long video. But the idea of indexing videos in general, I think, is been around like this. I think the only thing special we're doing is we're choosing the clips within. So.
And we're enabling an easy way to edit through the CS through an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
That's
that one is cool.
Yeah, you don't have to have a super whiz coder to edit the video. Just edit your HTML file or your XLS file, and you're good to go. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Brent, thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, no worries. Well, there's one last piece of code that you guys might want to see. This little last block, and then I think you get the whole gist of the application. You know how I was saying you pass variables into that function called load that then changes the URL of the iframe? Mm-hmm. That is here. And the way that works is I do it for each loop in PHP, and I say for each value in the CSV document inside of that array, key is value, and I say if value 5, that's like the 6th column over inside the CSV if we open in Excel, equals some category. Then take those values, and I have a link. You guys are familiar with that. The on click load, that's normal. But this is where I dump in with PHP. I dump in the values inside the CSV file. And those are the variables that get pushed into the function. So that's how I get the title, the description, and all that other extra stuff along with the video ID. See, if we didn't want to have the description and title and all that kind of stuff be dynamic, we literally could have just used links that updated the iframe, and we didn't have to do this much code. But because we're clipping, and we need to specify what we're showing you, we have to pass in other stuff, and that's where that comes in. And the only downside of this application, and it's realistically not a huge downside because of the scale of it, is all my loops loop through every data entry. So literally inside the array, if I'm going through the CSV file, every function goes from row 1 to 16. With only 16 entries, and let's say potentially we have 50 one day, that's not that much processing power on the server. But if this was an application where there was like thousands of entries in a CSV file, or hundreds of thousands of entries, I'm not sure the implications if this takes too long to look through the array on the server. I'd have to look into like the time it takes to actually process that and how many people have visited it. I didn't make it elegant. I could have had a CSV file for each category. That's ultimately the better way to do it. But with how small of a scale this is, I think downloading and uploading one item is easier for someone to edit. So I sacrifice efficiency for usability, and in this scale, it's okay. In a large scale, it's probably not okay.
Great, Brent. Really well presented. Very cool. Brent, I might make some suggestions to comment the code so we could send this to David and Arnav and all of our developers.
Sure.
Because it's code we'll probably want to reuse in different applications in the future.
I think build it blocks would really be useful with this, because we could have someone record like a 2-hour Minecraft video explaining everything, and rather than having them make more than one video or redo their takes, we could just index the best parts.
Yep.
And things like that. So
this is really super powerful. Super
thanks,
useful.
John. And it was pretty easy. I mean, I think it maybe took like a day of work in total, maybe like an 8-hour day. Like we had some critiques back and forth, and that was honestly too, like the coding, maybe it wasn't so hard. It was just some of the data entry and other stuff too. So it's the philosophy of KISS: keep it simple, stupid. And we're not editing, we're not doing rendering, we're not doing anything. Well, there's no special prep for the videos now. It's just simply we pick a section and we have a link that shows you it, and nothing more.
Cool. Okay. David, Arnav, I hope this session was useful, and see you again. To be continued. All right.
Guys.
See you.
Bye, guys.
David.
And John, for you, the reason I wanted to bring this up was I know you're going to Mexico, I think tomorrow, right? So today is going to be cramped for you.
Yeah.
If in your free time, if you do have any free time, if not, I'll take a stab at it. If you could go into the server, like it's literally this file path. It's under S Programs Webcast-Workshop.
Yeah.
I figured that was appropriate because under Programs, I figured we could drop the link. Tell me more about Webcast workshops.
Here's where we want to do this. 2 things, Brent. First of all,
yes.
let me share the screen. Or actually, you keep sharing. Let's go to buildityyourself.com. I'll show you what I've set
Excellent.
up already for you this morning.
Perfect.
Go to Webcast, and then go to Webcast Archive. Yeah. So I've set this up for you, this page, so that if we just link to that, go ahead, click on that link. It goes.
Oh, sweet. So you just forward it to this, essentially.
Yeah. But I think that this should be changed to put in this folder.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it stays consistent. Yeah, that makes sense.
So just put it in this folder instead of in Programs, and then have the webcast read up at the top. Exactly. Rename the right. Instead of K web. Yeah, it should be right. Perfect. Yeah, and use the subheader as well with the red webcast, so you know you're under webcast. And the reason I like this, it's one extra click to get to your page, but this
you can find it.
You can find it, and this copy really helps explain the whole thing. So I just thought this page was important.
Oh, no, it makes sense. Yeah, that's one thing. I didn't know where I should put it. I made an assumption, but you know me, John. I don't want to assume, so I know I had to check in on that one.
Okay, good. So I set that up this morning.
Perfect.
I think this will work. And then the other thing, Brent, is I'll send that spreadsheet to you again, but we want to make the copy as small as possible.
Yeah, I looked in was it my Outlook email, or was it the?
Let me send it to you again. Hold on a second. How do I get here? View option. Exit full screen. I'm gonna send it to.
Because the last one I got. Oh, actually. Oh, that's why. That's not what I'm supposed to have in there. So has attachment. January 18th was the last file I got. I also wanted to check in on that because.
Just show it to me, and I'll tell you if it's the right one.
Okay.
Resend it. I won't need to resend it then. Hold on a second. Let me get back to. Let me grow this so I can see it better. Oh, I got another one. I have another one. Let me send you the new one. I took all the names off of it, so it's even shorter now.
Excellent. The thing I was going to suggest, and maybe before you send this, is would you be able to add a description for the videos that you think is appropriate? So I know we have the main note, like build it yourself, webcast workshops are fun, instructive, interactive, and designed for show and tell opportunities.
Right.
And that's like overview, but let's say we had 3 overview videos. We use that same note. Do we want a sub note that's specific? Or like when we have complete webcasts?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I thought that would be too complicated to do.
I already have a spot actually inside the application. So
Okay.
if you look at it, like even here, I have introduce and leave on at the bottom. So I have the main note, but then it has sub information.
Wow, this is great.
And,
okay, so for now I don't have that, and I'm probably not going to be able to get it done today.
Yeah, no worries. Should I leave them blank for now?
Yeah.
That way it's
leave
okay.
it blank, but if I know you have that, that's fantastic. I was thinking about that, and I didn't want to ask you because I thought you
no worries.
So much work. I didn't want you to have to go back, but you're thinking way ahead of me. So yeah. But I need to send you, before I forget, because I see a whole bunch of emails queued up for me that I'm going to have to attend to.
Yeah.
Let me get back to exit full screen, and let me make sure I send that to you, the latest one. Brent Video XLS. And this is, as of today, 012018.
Perfect.
And this is insert. And let me see where I'm saving that. It's under, hold on a sec. I'm saving that in Dropbox. Development, design, and videos, and webcasts, and then the XLS video. Okay.
All right, so I'll take care of that. I'll edit out the notes, and we'll be able to send that out to CFE tonight. So I'll leave that up to you to do on WeChat or in the email to Ricky.
Okay.
But and then the other thing I wanted to follow up with, I didn't follow the thread in WeChat this morning. I'm gonna catch up with it shortly.
Yeah.
Any action needed on my part before, just so I can.
This is on the WeChat. The threads this morning are they want to see this as soon as possible.
Okay, excellent.
So full.
So they're asleep right now. They'll see it in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Okay. So let me. I need a couple more edits to this spreadsheet before I send it to you.
Yeah, no worries. Let me not hold you up though. I'll look for that in my inbox, like maybe in an hour, and I'll take care of it.
Perfect. Okay, Brent.
All right.
It's almost all there. Yeah.
It's a few tweaks, and I take out the notes, and I mean it's just edited in the CSV file at this point, not the application.
Great.
In the sub font, we don't even. One of my questions was going to be a design question. I italicized it and I lightened the color just so it was not as strong.
Oh.
But we don't need to critique that right now because we're not going to have notes in. So we'll deal with that when you come back from Mexico.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's not crucial.
This application so much, though, I might try to make some time to do this.
All right. Thanks, John.
I love the extra feature of having unique text for each video. That was something I was dreaming about last night.
Yeah, I'm thinking like this could be easily adapted for a step-by-step process, and it could be adapted. Because I know we said we want videos for build-it blocks, but maybe we could have a video module kind of thing that like this in build-it blocks, or the text instructions with screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I may call you shortly, but let me edit this and send it to you so we can get this up to them in China as quickly as possible.
All right, sounds perfect.
All right, Brent. Thanks. Good morning session. Really productive.
Right, thanks. I'm glad, and you can tell that David and I are really engaged. They sat in an extra half hour just to
Oh yeah. Oh,
see what we were doing.
Yeah, we had everyone hooked this morning. That was good.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get some lunch. Yeah, this morning I'm really guilty of. Last night I was working on this, and I was gonna tweak a few more things because I wanted it to get sent out while they were awake. And I lay down for a second, and I think I was burning the candle on both ends. And I woke up this morning around 8 o'clock, and I was like, my alarm went off for the webcast, and I'm like, oh, that happened. So I ran out to McDonald's as fast as I could for good Wi-Fi, and yeah,
Great.
I'm gonna
Okay.
get some breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
All right, bye, John.
Bye.